trying to be silent instead of loud. It's hard to be quiet, it's all about reaching out to get that, but I'm falling to the ground, and I'm falling to the ground, and I don't want that fucking feeling when I'm down, and I'm falling down again. And I'm falling down again. And I'm falling down again. We don't belong making ladders out of cowboy sheets. We will be gone while we're counting stars, they're counting sheep. Peter, all your breath don't make a sound. Just keep running and keep running and keep running. In our heads we're 10 feet off the ground. Just keep running and keep running, keep running, keep running, keep between us and the wake, where you can still remember dreams. I swear I'll always love you. You know that place between us and the wake, where you can still remember dreams. I swear I'll always love you, and that's where I'll be waiting. That's where I'll be waiting. That's where I'll be waiting. Feeling alone. Never thought I'd see this place again. I'm growing old in a different world. You stay the same. I just hold my breath, don't make a sound. I'm running, I keep running, I keep running. 'Cause I can see you quite as clearly now. I'm running, I keep running. You know that place between us, sleeping awake, where you can still remember dreams. I swear I'll always love you. You know that place between us, sleeping awake, where you can still remember dreams. I swear I'll always love you, and that's where I'll be waiting. That's where I'll be waiting. That's where I'll be waiting. I know now, I wouldn't have said what I said. I took the long road, thought I'd be better on my own. Sometimes what's right is wrong instead. 'Cause I was too young, and I didn't understand that you were the one. And I can't wait to see you again. Hindsight is fleeting, oh, and your heart's bleeding, and all you can see is red. Till you discover it is within each other to forgive and make amends. If I had known then, or what I know now, I wouldn't have said what I said. I took the long road, thought I'd be better on my own. Sometimes what's right is wrong instead. 'Cause I was too young, and I didn't understand that you were the one. And I can't wait to see you again. Oh, I can't wait, I can't wait, I can't wait. 'Cause I was too young, and I didn't understand that you were the one. And I can't wait to see you
Staring into the sun, which tries to blind our eyes. Oh, we're dancing forever under the beautiful skies.
somewhere over the ocean, a spark just to ignite. I'm stuck in my hometown, waiting for your reply.
All I see.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Week 8 of the Apollo Racing Club iRacing Indycar Series. Tonight, we are joined by a field of drivers at Michigan International Speedway. I believe it's the Legacy course as well, so we should see the classic track that some of us knew and loved to watch open wheelers race on back in the day. It's always a great track for a little bit of pack racing, huge draft, and mighty passes. I'm joined by my co-caster, Nick Licino. How you doing tonight, Nick?
I'm doing well. Excited to see some more oval action. Last time we were at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. That was a long one, but an entertaining one. Came down to a last lap battle and then finished under yellow. So I'm expecting more fireworks today from these drivers.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And these drivers have been working extra hard to prepare for the oval this week. I know Andrew Surowick MLG God, as some of you may know him, hosted an actual oval training session last week during our week off to help some of these guys improve their skills on the oval, learn when and how to pass and the right way to do so we don't have as many cautions as we did at Indy. It should make for some great racing tonight.
Yeah, we're averaging about 6 yellows every time this series comes to Michigan, so we could see a bit of them. It's mostly out of turn 2. There's a little bump on the high side, and that's going to get drivers loose, but we're looking for them to hold it down and make it through this 60-lap race clean.
Yeah, and like you said, 60-lap race, a tank of fuel will get you anywhere from 30 to 35 laps in a stint. So we're looking at a one-stopper. I'm sure some guys could change their strategy based on, of course, incidents, and if we have more yellows than expected, things could shuffle around a bit. But a one-stopper is the goal, which is not too bad, but I do know that tire dag, from my experience at this track, is going to be huge. Be on the lookout on the exit of turn 2 there. You can see it way down there. There is a ridge on the exit of that turn, and if you hit that, breaking out of the dirty air onto the backstretch, you are going to get put in a spin cycle, and it is not fun.
Yeah, definitely not fun for these drivers to go around. We talked about that fuel window. It just comes down to how they will save it. We saw at Indy getting in that draft, in that slipstream, save some fuel. You can go about half throttle down the backstretch, but it's just going to come down to strategy. And speaking of someone who knows strategy pretty well, David McCourt is not racing today. Had a bit of a technical error with some of his hardware, so he will not be here. And that opens the door for some other drivers who feel experienced on oval to get a chance to run up at the front of the pack where he usually is.
Yeah, and I know a couple guys are unfortunately real excited about that. I know they love to race against David, but it gives them a chance to make up just a little bit of ground in the championship standings. Even though David is missing tonight, there are 2 drop weeks in the Apollo Racing Club iRacing IndyCar Series, so David will not take too big of a hit from this. I believe almost no matter what happens, he will retain that lead in the championship points standings.
Well, the person starring in the lead for the starting grid at Michigan is Adam Thompson in the 80 car, followed by Tanner Long, Eric Oliva, Mark Feeney, and Tyler Reed rounding out your top 5.
And rounding out your top 10, we've got Brock Whiteman starting on the inside, Tyler Reed starting on the inside of row 3. I know you had him. Excuse me. It's been a rough couple weeks, okay? I'm still recovering from my concussion at Laguna Seca. Brock Whiteman starting in P6 on the outside of row 3, followed by James Williamson, Joseph DuPont, Andrew Surwick, and John Krauser, and that rounds out your top 10.
And then getting back to the back half of the field, Jake Jackson going to be in the 11th spot, Kubalay Salen in the 12th spot, and then we only have a few other drivers tonight, Craig Bray, 13, Daniel Taskey, and Cody Barrett finishing out the field. So a 15 pack of drivers here. Excited to see how these guys can get going, as we are going to start our pace laps here in just a moment and get green flag racing.
I don't know about you, but I am real excited for this one. Like I said, from my experience, I've had a lot of crazy exciting races at this track. I know you mentioned the draft at Indy, but the draft here is just massive. It's not Daytona massive, but it's big enough to where as long as you just get that little edge on exit out of turn 2, you get a huge pull down the backstretch, and you can easily send it up the inside in a 3.
Well, we talked about rolling starts about every week, and especially at this oval specifically, they're going to want to jump out these 2 leaders in the front row. Going to try and get a huge lead on the opponents, but as we said, that draft is so strong they can suck up back to the rear bumper and then make things difficult for the guys leading. It's just, where are they going to try and make that pass? Obviously, the back straightaway would be best, but blocking is a potential. There's a lot of factors here getting around these leaders.
There definitely will be, and it's going to be important for these guys to stay on the lead lap, because if they don't, that toe will pull the pack pretty hard, and they will quickly lose them and won't be able to catch up.
So Talladega-esque, you got to stay pretty close and in a pretty solid line, but as they come through turn number 3, Will, you can take us into this green flag lap number 1.
All right, the lights are off on the pace car, which means we are going green this time by hoping for a clean start here. I know, again, turn 2, be on the lookout. Cold tires, fast track, good pack racing. There's going to be something happening there at some point in the race, but hopefully not on the first lap, as Adam Thompson will lead the field to green here at Michigan International Speedway. Welcome to round 8. Gets a solid jump, takes the inside line, but Eric Oliva is right on his tail. Picks the outside to stay in clean air, trying to take the long way around.
Yep, and Tanner Long, who started on the outside in second place, has dropped down. He's trying to single file in, but it's going to take a while for him to get back up to these two leaders battling. Everyone keeping it pretty solid right now. We talked about cold tires. We'll see if that inside line works. Instead, Eric Oliva is going to lead them and lead lap number 2. We're going to try and get straightened out. You can see the back of the pack still diving in, trying to make that low line work, but as you can see, just following the guy in front of you seems to be the best point of interest here for most of these drivers.
No, it definitely is, but the dirty air is real here, as it is everywhere else in the IndyCar, of course. It is tough. Dirty air is kind of that turbulent air you get off the aero package in the car in front of you. Your car does not like to handle it too well. What I've noticed here is when you're coming out of a turn, you kind of want to start to put your wheel back towards center before you get out of the turn, or else the car is going to snap, like I said earlier. Not a fun ride to have, especially early on in the race. With a 15-car field, we should see a lot of guys be able to compete for this one.
Yep,
Joseph DuPont making moves.
Yeah, Joseph DuPont moving up, as well as Brock Whiteman getting in front of Joseph DuPont, slowed down that slingshot he had. If you looked a little earlier, Brock Whiteman got around Adam Thompson, who now is dropping back quickly, so he's going to have to regain those positions lost as we get to lap 4. We're on board here with Joseph DuPont, seeing how he gets away from the car in front of him, Brock Whiteman, the 41, and both of them are going to go into the wall. DuPont following the line, cooked it just a little too much. Oh, and Thompson's going to drop back. He must have something wrong. Oh, that's Whiteman, excuse me, in the 41. So Whiteman dropping back to the back of the field. He might need to go in for a stop here.
Yeah, Whiteman looked like he took a big hit off that wall and bounced off of it pretty hard. If you don't hit the wall square, you're going to have some damage there. So it looks like he heads in to pit lane to get repairs. I think Joseph DuPont got away cleanly from that one. He hit it pretty square. The nice little Will Power Indianapolis qualifying. And we have our first accident, caution, and now Joseph DuPont indeed has damage.
I was going to say before he did that, tunnel vision is so difficult to get away from. He was following the car in front of him up. He hit, Joseph DuPont hits, and then the domino starts. Once you have a bit of damage on that front wing, you can get turned around pretty easily, and we saw that there. Looked like he went down to block the car behind him and just did it a little too aggressively, and the back end slid out.
Yeah, that's exactly what it looked like. I've had my fair share of moments doing that here. No, he just got a little loose on the throttle application a little too early out of 2, I think. But they seem farther out of the corner than they should be.
Well, I saw him dive down, and I'm wondering if we could get on board from the car behind, if that would give us a little explanation. Yeah, so we did go to block. Oh, and took out the 84 car as well. James Williamson there. Oh, an aggressive move to be making on lap 6, I have to say.
And that's just unfortunate for James Williamson. He's been competitive all year. I got to run side by side with him a little bit next week, and it was awesome. This guy, he is all the way out. I can't remember if he's in the UK or Ireland, but he's up late every night doing this with us. So props to him. I know he wants to get a win here soon, real bad, and he's just inches away every time. So hopefully he can get back out on track and make some time up. But Joseph DuPont is going to drop to the end of the field here, which is huge.
Yeah, I'm just not sure. Even if that move had worked, I mean, the car behind had that room to make that pass. I just think so early on in the race, that was a bit premature to be making those moves, but he paid for it. He's going to be restarting at the back of the pack, so I guess that's karma, if you could call it that.
Yeah, the problem with the move there, which is something that's talked about a lot in motorsports in general, was it was a reactionary move. He did not predict the guy behind was going to go there. He saw him start to go there and decided to just close the door on him. And again, like you said, he paid for it. So if you can't do the time, don't do the crime. Joseph Dupont is going to have a lot of time to make up tonight. But luckily, we're only 7 laps into the race. He's already 2 laps down, though.
Oh, wow. So he must be in the pit for an extended period of time. I wonder if something happened on that hard contact. Maybe something got disconnected. But regardless, yeah, 2 laps down. You talked about it before the race. That's basically the end of it, you'd have to say.
Yeah, especially on a 1-stopper. It's too hard to make up those laps. I mean, if it were a 2-stopper, people cycling through the pits, you catching the back of the field, maybe you can make something happen, but it's going to be a real tight one now.
So a 15 size field is still here, but only in lap 7. So this could change quickly. We talked about the last few races, only a few drivers finish on the lead lap, and if these incidents keep occurring, I'm wondering if the same fate is in store for these drivers.
Well, I hope not. They look pretty good so far. A lot of them running the high line, long way around. Being able to run side by side, which is something that we had not seen much of at the previous ovals we've been to this season. At Indianapolis, it wasn't really a thing. Realize Indy is pretty hard to do just that at speeds excess of 235 miles an hour. But here in Michigan, you're getting to about 220, 225, if I remember correctly. And these guys are able to run wheel to wheel. So I'm pretty impressed so far tonight.
Well, lights off on the pace car. We will be going green this time by 8 laps down. Eric Oliva took the lead away from Tanner Long and Adam Thompson on that first corner, it seemed. He just shot out, got a really good start off the line, and he'll be leading them to the green flag. Single file restart here. And it's all up to Tanner Long. What's he going to decide? Is he going to try and tuck in and ride this one out, not even close to halfway, or will he try and make a move and set the pace there in the front of the field?
That's a good question, but in just a few moments, we'll get an answer. To that.
Yeah, exactly.
I think Thompson's just saving tires.
Yeah, that's the smart move here.
They bunch up single file, headed to green on the first restart. Lap 9 is underway. Eric Oliva leading the field. Takes it quite high. Trying to save tires as much as he can while he gets up to speed, but Tanner Long is right on his tail, and he's going to be closing in fast here.
Yep, those two pulled away. 3rd place, almost a second behind. So this is the battle as of right now. It's just when Andrew Surwijk and Adam Thompson can catch back up to these 2 leaders. But just as we predicted, Tanner, you can see him about half throttle at the end of that turn. So he's not interested in doing anything too crazy at this point in the race.
Yeah, I mean, there's really no reason to here. There's a trade-off. I mean, the only con I see is you're in dirty air. Other than that, you're saving fuel. You're saving tires. You don't have to work as hard. But I'm sure that mentality will change as soon as Andrew, Jake Jackson, and I guess Mark Feeney now, who made the pass on Adam Thompson. As soon as those 3 close it up to these 2 leaders, we might see Tanner Long get a little dicey.
So I believe we missed something, or maybe the scoring is incorrect. 4 drivers are now a lap down. I'm not sure. We saw some smoke on that onboard of Tanner Long. We're going to check to see if we could see. There's still smoke in the air. So there may have been an incident that didn't bring out the caution, may have been under that racing line, as we see a car getting back to pit lane. So we're going to see if we can take a look at that. But for now, Tanner Long, 0.3 seconds behind the leader, and Andrew Surwijk right behind him.
Yeah, and I know this is a big race for Andrew. Like we said, David McCourt will, I believe, retain his championship lead after tonight, no matter what happens. But for Andrew, this is his home track. He's from the state of Michigan. He loves it here. I've raced against him here, and he's pretty good, actually. But he wants to win. He wants to close that gap down to McCourt as quickly as possible. After last week, he told us he thought his hopes were done. but tonight that kind of gets revived a little bit. So Andrew Serwick will be very eager to make some moves as this race progresses.
Yeah, but Tanner Long really close now to the leader. Going to be on board with him. Interesting perspective, just seeing that steering wheel shifting all the way down to 4th gear out of 6th. And we've seen Eric Oliva dive down to the bottom, not trying to give him a slipstream. Tanner Long is going to drop a spot there, but I don't think he's too concerned. He knows he's up fighting still in the draft with these top 3 drivers. And again, we have such a long way to go until even pit stops, so there's no reason to be side-by-side racing too aggressively here, burning up the tires. But I think he's making the long-form decision here to just make it to the end.
Yeah, and you said Eric is kind of weaving a little bit on the backstretch to break the draft. Oh, somebody goes off, and it's Tanner Long!
Oh, no.
You were just talking, now's not necessarily the time to be making moves like this. I told you, as soon as somebody else gets up on the back of him and they're fighting there, something could happen. That's unfortunate for him. Hopefully we can get a replay to show you guys at home what happened here. The Bitcoin car is down again.
Ran pretty well at Indy, but that race was long and treacherous. So today still seems to be suffering from those issues. We're going to try and see if we can go a little further back than that, but as of right now, he's limping it back to pit road. Hopes to stay on the lead lap here. Luckily, the caution came out for that incident, so he should be able to get back. So no replay for him. We can assume he just got loose out of turn 2 coming down that back straightaway, but we are going to cut to what created these 5 drivers to go a lap down. This is going to be a single car spin by Salen, and the 10 car gets collected and the 75 car goes around. So like we predicted, because it was below the yellow line, there was no reason to throw a caution off that racing line. So yeah, just gets a little loose. Looks like he went a little too low. Rejoins. Tasky goes around.
Yeah, that's unfortunate for Tasky, but when you see the guy get loose on the bottom, I know it's not the typical racer mindset, but sometimes you just got to lift and back out of it a little bit. Get as far away as possible. No one going that slow, spinning out on the apron is going to wash all the way up. Unfortunate for him, but definitely an avoidable contact as well.
Yeah, but then we see Craig Bray, another single car spin. Looked like coming down that front straightaway, the start finish, he just went on that bottom apron and caught the grass. We haven't seen too many cars going below that white line on the front stretch. I would say Las Vegas, you could get away with that, but here, maybe not wide enough to make that happen, and he gets collected in that incident.
Yeah, it's pretty bumpy, and you saw him do a little jump there. Dare I say it, he on X Games mode.
Yeah, he was flying, so. He's going to get the wave around. Same with John Krauser. So it looks like they'll get their lap back. But Cubule in the 10 car and Joseph DuPont out of this race. DuPont looked to be in a commanding spot, running in 3rd or 4th, but just a little too aggressive and spun himself out. So unfortunate to see that, but that opens the door for a lot of these people in the middle. Tyler Reed, Cody Barrett, Brock Whiteman, so they can all make a push now that he is out of the race.
Yeah, for sure. And unfortunate for Joseph DuPont. I believe that's 2 races in a row now that he is disconnected from. Last race being partially my fault when I was caught up in an incident. Didn't see him coming and just got a little bit in his way. So I'm part of that problem, and I apologize to Joseph DuPont. He's had a pretty rough stretch this middle part of the season.
But it only takes 1 race to turn it around, so I'm sure he'll be back out next week looking to get that win. But as of right now, Eric Oliva been in the lead since lap number 2, and he's planning to stay there. We saw the 1 car of Andrew Serwick get in front of the single car spin. Was that Adam Thompson? Oh, I'm sorry, it was Tanner Long in the 64 car. So Tanner Long starting in 10th. He's going to have to fight to get back up there. Fresh car, though. Got that tire repaired, so if there's anyone that can do it, it's the Bitcoin car. He seems to be up in the front battling every week.
Yeah, that Bitcoin value plummeted for a little bit, but I think it's going to be on the slow climb back these next 43 laps. Hopefully, he's definitely going to have the opportunity to work his way through the field here. These guys, all the way from Mark Feeney down to, I guess, everyone down, they have been just exchanging positions throughout the beginning of this race. If anyone has kept their eye on the leaderboard, it's been a mess. I think we're gonna see a pretty competitive restart here. Usually after a couple cautions, people tend to get a little impatient, which is why it breeds more cautions. But the pace car is off, and we are headed towards lap 18 as Eric Oliva leads the field again. He gets a huge jump on Andrew Serwick. Andrew's gonna try and maintain his draft as much as possible. We'll see if Andrew decides to take the high line as well, which he does. He will follow Eric the long way around out of turn 2. Can everybody keep it intact this go around?
Well, I think as we say it, there's a pass for the lead here. It's going to be Andrew Serwick past Oliva in the slipstream on the backstretch. He's got to plant it though. Can't slide up too much. He does keep it down on that first seam. Gets a little high, and now Oliva charging back. I was about to say they seem pretty calm here, but first place, they're fighting for that spot. Really close wheel-to-wheel racing through turn 1. That bottom line, though, seems to have gotten a better run, but Oliva's going to be charging, and that gave Jake Jackson time to get close. So now he's right behind him if an incident were to occur. Oliva's still going to stay to that high line. Oh! A bit of contact. Oliva gets sent to the wall. Tire is off. Could that bring out a caution? He needs to dive to pit road. I think he's going to blow past it. He is, so he's staying out. This has to bring out a caution, don't you think?
You would think so. I'm not sure if that's just the rendering we're getting or in the cautions thrown. Man, I was just about to say, too, these two guys up front, Andrew Serwick and Eric Oliva, are putting a lot of trust into each other. But, again, it's just so early in the race, and when you're competing for those championship points at this stage of the season, putting yourself in positions like that is just tough, man. It's a huge gamble. As we see the wheel fly off repeatedly, I'm sure that gives Connor Daly a little PTSD. Wow. And so we are not going to be able to get a replay on that one, unfortunately, but it looks like Andrew Serwick just forced him a little bit wide, tapped him, sent him out to the wall, I believe in turn 3, exit of turn 3.
Yeah, it looked to be, because he was going to try and make it to pit road, but instead stayed on that high line lever and pass. And now he's going to make another lap, try and get down the pit road. Tough to control the car, though, without a wheel, especially getting it slowed down. I'm wondering if he was still going, excess of 150 and just thought, I'm going to spin out if I try and slam it on the pit road or possibly mess up someone else's race. So instead, I have 3 tires. I think I can make it back around one more lap, which he seems to be doing pretty well.
Yeah, now the challenge for Serwick in the number 1 car is going to be retaining that lead. Fuel save will not be huge here since it will be a one-stopper, and these cautions will stretch that window from maximum lap 35 probably out to 38, 39 now, you'd think. So when these guys do make their stops, they're going to take just that much less fuel and hopefully get this race going quicker.
So you got to think, in Oliva's position, he was giving him a good amount of room. I talked the lap before about Serwick possibly washing up the track. He was sending it in so deep on that bottom line. So Oliva now going to get a fresh car. He's going to be charging back up like we saw Tanner Long doing, and Tanner Long moved up 3 positions in that short green flag run. I'm wondering if Oliva can get back to the lead, how he's going to race Andrew Serwick, because I would think, wow, he just doored me, my tire's gone, and now he's in the lead. So I would be a little upset about that.
Yeah, I would too, but it looks like he's going to stay on the lead lap. So he may have a chance to avenge himself at some point tonight. Very possible. We've already seen a bit of contact between some cars, so it is not unlikely that it happens again.
Yeah, I think it was good of Oliva in the 13 car to stay high. We saw, I think it was at Indianapolis, Nick Jadu dove down to the bottom to try and get in pit lane after an incident occurred out of turn 4, and that caused a lot of issues. So it was good of him to, yeah, we threw a caution, but he stays on the lead lap. Everyone's got a clean car in front of him, so I think that was the right decision.
Are the lights out on the pace car?
I would say no.
We will have one more go around.
So if we could get a look at that 41 car, that is Brock Whiteman. This is his first race, his debut race with Apollo Racing Club, and he is up in a podium position in 3rd place. So he's taken the pressure he feels from these other guys and worked with them and gotten up to that top 3 spot.
Yeah, he's up 3 positions already, and that green machine is putting in the work. So he is going to hope to get a good restart and stay on the tail of Jake Jackson. It'd be pretty cool to see this guy take the lead at some point in his first start with us.
And something to add to this storyline, the car that Joseph DuPont was attempting to block was Brock Whiteman. So interesting that he avoided that contact, avoided Joseph DuPont spinning out, and now he's made it up to the top 3. So not, 7 laps from halfway. There's no reason to be blocking, fighting for positions now. If someone gets a run on you, you're going to be behind them, and you're going to get the run on them next lap. So I think it's smart for these guys to just settle in. We saw Serwick dive to the bottom, trying to make that aggressive move, and then it doored someone else, and now he's back at 8th. So I think just if you're side by side and you think the other driver's a little too aggressive, maybe just back out of it and let the race do what it does.
Right, and you said he missed that blocking incident with Joseph DuPont. That's kind of how you got to make it through these IndyCar oval races, whether you're in a league or in just an online ranked session. But it is going to get dicey here off the start. They bunch up real close this time, and Jake Jackson is hopefully not going to let Andrew get away, but Andrew gets the jump again. Andrew leading the field down into turn 1, opting for the high line again, which seems to be favored tonight.
Yeah, they like entering really high and then seeing if they can get that grip on the bottom. Because it's the Legacy Edition, these tires, the people that haven't pitted yet, are getting pretty worn. So they are looking for grip wherever it can be. And there you see Jake Jackson gaining a bit of time, now 2/10 back on the leader.
Yeah, not a bad move from Jake Jackson there to dive inside just to break up the dirty air a little bit, get a better run out of turn 4, and hopefully stay in the draft. But he's not going to be able to because Brock Whiteman heads up the outside of Jake Jackson, trying to make a move here in turn 2 to take over that 2nd spot and hunt down Andrew Serwick. And it looks like he does just that. They're going to be weaving back and forth here going into turn 3. Jake Jackson hangs back just a little bit, continues to break that dirty air, and he's going to file right back in behind Brock Whiteman and hopefully get a run on him down the front stretch.
Yeah, he definitely has a run here. It's whether he'll dive to the bottom or not. He's looking, he's peeking, seeing, and he does go. So they're going to be side by side through turn number 1. Brock's going to be able to hold it. It's whether Jake Jackson could get the run up on the bottom, but instead Brock going to stay high and get it. So that may have been an attempt to get out of the dirty air, but still stayed side by side, but Brock on that high line getting a better run out of turn 2.
Yeah, and Brock retains that 2nd position. Like you said, getting a better run out of turn 2, mainly because that was what Andrew Serwick opted for on corner exit. He got a little extra toe than Jake Jackson did, but Jake Jackson is not shying away just yet. Decides not to dive down to the inside this time. Brock gets a tad bit loose there as he comes up the inside of Andrew Serwick. Andrew not going to let him pass, and Brock drops back a little bit.
And now Serwick looks to the bottom. Jake Jackson up high, still side by side. This is the pass for the lead. If he can make it stick on the top line, he's going to go strong. He's got the help behind him. He's got a run on him. Yeah, he definitely had the help behind him. That pushed him just a little. And then a close, woo. That was Andrew Serwick going up high, blocking off Brock Whiteman. So a good battle here in the front. These runs they can get.
Jake Jackson, your new race leader, up 10 spots in these first 28 laps. Gonna try his best to fend off Andrew Serwick here. I know Andrew is not giving up this fight just yet. He wants to have that lead going into the first and hopefully only pit sequence of this race. He looks to the inside along the front stretch, taking the inside line into turn 1. Jake staying out of the dirty air, trying to avoid all aero wash and then dive back right behind him to get the run down the back stretch. It's deja vu. Every lap around here, these guys are going to be going back and forth for a while as long as we stay green.
Brock Whiteman had a chance to make it 3 wide, instead stayed behind Jake Jackson. But what it's telling me, Jake Jackson going up 10 spots, those tires have to be on the edge of their life as Andrew Serwick looks to get in the slipstream, nearly collecting Brock Whiteman in the process. Whiteman going to dive to the bottom. Probably the right move there. I don't think Serwick had the speed to maintain throughout if he was close behind him like he was. But Serwick needed to stay in that draft, and he did pretty aggressively.
Yeah, good move on Brock Whiteman there. I don't think he wanted any part of that. That is not the way you want to go out of any race, and certainly not your first race here, but he's taking the inside now. Back to P2. This is just an absolute dogfight.
Yeah, but what it tells me, Jake Jackson going up 10 positions. Like I was saying, those tires have to be at about the end of their life, so I wouldn't be surprised if he starts getting a little looser, having less traction through these turns. I just feel like passing that many cars has to cause some problems. He must be pushing it pretty hard.
Yeah, and it looks like from those 10 positions, I think 2 or 3 of them were not passes. Those were people collected in incidents, but still quite a fair amount of ground to make up. And even though he's now only made up 9 positions, our biggest mover is Cody Barrett in the 007, sitting in P4. I believe he's also new to this league. He's up 11 spots tonight. So yeah, a lot of guys making some moves early on here. We should see some cars start to pit within the next 5 or 6 laps.
Yeah, really impressive, but it's all about wreck avoidance at that early stage of the race. The people that are going to be a little too aggressive seem to wreck themselves out, like we saw Joseph DuPont making a move that didn't really pan out, and then that gives those other guys behind a chance. But we also have to remind ourselves that this is only just passing the halfway mark, a lot of green flag racing remaining, and Jake Jackson still holds on to that lead.
Yeah, and Andrew Serwick drops back to 3rd, but I tell you what he's doing here. He backed off a little bit. This is my bet. I think it's a pretty safe one, too. Backed off a little bit. He's able to be a little lighter on that throttle, save a little bit of fuel, hoping to stretch it as far as he can so he increases his odds of a yellow flag pit stop. You do not want to pit under green here. You will lose a lap very quickly. But it looks like that's his strategy here. Try and stretch it as far as he can because he knows if he gets a yellow and these guys have to pit under green, he will be the outright leader.
Yeah, Brock Whiteman staying extremely close, only about a 10th back. And there we see the battle for first. Jackson all the way up 10 spots, Whiteman passing 4 other drivers, and Serwick with 6, and then Barrett back and forth. So a lot of moves being made, and they seem to be sticking so far. But as we hit lap 35, the end of the fuel window without cautions, and there is a caution. Caution is out. We're going to see what caused that.
These guys are definitely pitting here. We're going to get you a replay. I think they're definitely pitting, though. John Krauser just loose out of 2. And remember, I told y'all earlier, keep an eye out for the exit of turn 2 because that is the killer here.
A huge impact. Opened up the body of that car. We're going to see on board. Yeah, just spun
right
it a
over
little
the
too
ridge.
far. Yep.
As soon as he hits the ridge with the right rear, it just pops out on him. Unfortunate end to that run for John Krauser. Hopefully he can get back out there and make something happen, but that'll take him out of the race for this win.
Yeah, so difficult to save that once you're going around at around 200 miles an hour. It's nearly impossible, so he just held on to it as good as he could, but we will see these yellow flag stops, which you said was so important, and that's what most of these guys were waiting for, trying to save a little fuel, and that worked out perfectly for Andrew Serwick, who retains his 3rd place and can get to pit road under a caution.
Yeah, he left himself with a little bit of work to do. I think that caution came earlier than he had hoped for, and that's why he backed off. I think if he would have stuck in the lead just like Jake Jackson did, of course, he would have been fine on his current tank. But that just means he's going to have to take less fuel. Hopefully he gets a good pit in here, and we might have a race to the white line on pit exit.
Yeah, they made sure to stay bunched up. We're going to see. They're definitely taking tires here. No reason not to, especially under caution. So
now the big thing is going to be saving those tires for the next 10 laps or so you can really just push it at the end and try and make your final moves.
Well, as we've seen, the moves that we've been seeing have been coming a lot quicker than we thought. I mean, on lap 1, we already had a change of leader, so not too surprising. Top 3 file out just as they went in.
Cody Barrett elects not to pit.
Well, could it be possible that pit road was closed for the back half of the field, or you think he didn't pit?
He was sitting in P4, though. But I thought we saw him in pit lane, so he must have just beat those guys out and jumped all of them somehow.
Wow.
Not sure how that happened, but big move for 007. Now he's given the positions back up, so that sorts that one out. So the 007, full dad joke intended, will still be spying on the rear of that Jackson Serwick Whiteman battle, which he has seen all race long.
Well, as everyone gets ready to go back, Green Flag Racing, Driver 61 is Europe's largest racing school, and they have entered the sim racing market. If you're interested in their services, head over to driver61.com and use discount code ARCDriver61 for 25% off all their services.
I actually used Driver 61 myself this week just to help myself with a little bit of the fundamentals. I'm having some trouble in this IndyCar on the road courses. I'm in a couple leagues trying to put in some good laps, but this car is just tough under braking. And that's why these oval races, everyone is competitive in, which is just awesome to see. That's why we've seen a bunch of lead changes so far, a bunch of big movers. I mean, you look at James Williamson, he's had 4 stops and he's still sitting there in P7, so he's still got a shot at this one.
Yeah, these back half of the field, 22 laps remaining, about 21 when we go green. They're going to be making a huge push, especially on fresh tires. We talked about cold tires, how dangerous they can be. So I'm hoping there's a race-wide discussion about being cautious on this first lap going green. Well, I feel like we're burying the lead a bit. If the scoring is correct, Eric Oliva, who we discussed, is in the lead. Is that correct?
I believe so. I think he stayed out on that one.
Wow. Well,
but
this
he did have to pit. He had to pit, what, 10 laps earlier or so from the contact with the one car of Andrew Serwick. So
yeah,
if he's able to save some fuel, he might be able to pull it out. But lap 21, so quite a bit earlier. He's going to need a lot of help. But again, that first fuel window could have stretched out quite a bit further with caution. So if we see the same, Eric Oliva may not have to pit again, but he's going to lead the field to green here again, which he has not seen that view in a couple dozen laps. But he gets a massive jump, 0.6 on Daniel Taskey, headed into turn 1.
And Jake Jackson, we've been saying his name all night. He is still charging. So he will be looking to make a move here on the 2 leaders out on those old tires, and we can see getting a huge run. But instead, it's Serwick to the inside. Gonna make it stick past Daniel Taskey. He's gonna drop back pretty quickly. And now he is hunting the leader. If you remember back to lap 21 when the caution came out, Oliva versus Serwick. It's happening again. Serwick gonna try and set this move up through turn 1. Can't quite get to the back bumper, but down the straightaway, he might do it. Jake Jackson looking low, but can't make it all the way in front. So now it's Oliva Serwick.
Yeah, Serwick had a huge run there in the last lap down the back stretch with a little bit of help of Daniel Taskey's draft, who's going to take back that second spot. Serwick gets pushed up to the outside, and he almost gets freight train, gets real close to Jake Jackson. Little bit of contact, taps the wall out of 4.
And that'll open the
he's getting
door for
freight trained.
Whiteman. That'll open the door for Whiteman on the outside. He should be able to pass here because of that. I think he got loose, got sent up the track just a little, came out of the throttle, and yep, there's Whiteman with the pass. And then right behind him, Williamson dodging around, trying to get past, and he might do it too. So huge mistake there from Serwick, drops all the way down to 5th and possibly more.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing about this track is he was battling for the lead that whole first part, and like we said, James Williamson with 4 stops right on him. It looks like we got someone going down, doing some landscaping in the infield, and that's Daniel Taskey. Hopefully we can get a replay of what happened there. From the short glimpse I got, it looked like he got tapped in the rear, but there was a lot to kind of comprehend there. Oh, he just dives down, gets loose.
Whoa.
Wow.
So that almost looks reminiscent of what Joseph DuPont did, trying to get down, decides to go up, and they're just turning that wheel so quickly it's hard for the car to adjust. We'll see on board here what he saw. Oh, it wasn't what I predicted. It was just a little too much throttle, I believe. Yeah, he just pinned it at the top of 5th gear, flat out, and the front stretch is not really a place you want to be moving different grooves. I mean, those grooves in the track will do the same as that exit of turn 2. They'll just throw you around in a circle. It is real bumpy down there, and that's a big part of why IndyCar does not race there anymore in real life, is just the track surface is so beat up. It just makes it very challenging for these cars. So now Eric Oliva in 2nd. Is this when he comes down pit road? We saw he last pitted lap 21. He already lost a position. He was about to lose a few more, but the caution came out. I think if I were him, I'd get a fuel reload and then get 4 new tires. I mean, yeah, you could see the last laps. He's 15 laps behind the rest of the field. He could do that. I would not be surprised if he takes the gamble and stays out, though. If he is electing to stay out, he's in the right spot to do so. He gets the draft, save a little bit of fuel. Again, if we have 2 or 3, oh, he's going to come in. So scratch everything I was about to say because it's totally worthless. He's still going to have to hope and pray for some cautions, though, to get back in this one. And Brock Whiteman coming down pit road as well. So that's interesting, and Serwick. So that's going to leave Jake Jackson out front. Interesting. He seemed to be in control of that. I believe the other 2 drivers, besides Oliva, pit at lap 36. I'm wondering if this is now I have enough fuel to ride around on caution laps for sure, because I burned just 1 or 2 gallons there, and now I'll definitely make it to the end instead of potentially having a gamble. Right, and I don't know if we can get an incident counter up or anything, but I think Jake Jackson and maybe Mark Feeney. There's quite a few less incidents than I thought there would be. Maybe some 0Xs out there, but I think there's only 2 or 3 drivers maximum that have not been involved in anything. Jake had a couple close calls, but he's pretty much mistake-free, and he's commanding the lead of this race. Yeah, I want to point out John Krauser in that number 2 car. He slammed into the wall about 5 laps ago, and it's telling us he doesn't have an incident. So I believe that's a bit miscalculated there. But regardless, what you said was true, that these front guys trying to keep it clean, and the people that pit may have just had a bit to repair there. So regardless, they will be on fresher tires. They will have more fuel, and how that plays out is what we'll see in 15 laps. Yeah, and I think it was the right move for Eric Oliva to pit there. As long as he gets a yellow or so, he might not even need it now. If he fueled a full tank, which I don't know necessarily why you would with only half of a fuel stint left to go, he should be fine to go, but he's going to have to make some moves. I'm not sure if he took tires. If he did, he is in a great position, even though he's sitting back P8 mid-pack. He's going to be able to get a lot dicier in 15 laps. Well, lights off on the pace car, 15 laps to go. We're going back green. Can we keep it green? That's the question. We're right about at that target number of 6 cautions so far, so the average is proving to be right. So Jake Jackson going to lead them off. Tanner Long hoping to stay pretty close behind them, and then Mark Feeney in 3rd.
And Mark has been silent tonight, but he's just been moving up, sitting right back there, waiting for people to mess up, and that's how he's made up a lot of positions. He's going to be in the battle for this here at the end, unless they just get a little too greedy here on this restart. But pretty much all the restarts, we've seen the leader get a great jump, and everyone else just kind of follow suit up that high line.
Yeah, they like to spread out a bit, get used to the conditions, and then start going for moves there at the front. Well, as we come out of turn 4, they're the safety ratings and iRating, so a D-class racer in the front and 3 A-classes right behind him, so that should be interesting to see play out. But we are ready to go green. Jake Jackson gonna lead him to the checkered line, excuse me, and we are back green. And already a move to the bottom. Tanner Long seems to be in control here. It's just whether Jake Jackson can get back on that high line, and he does. And Tanner gonna cycle back in right behind him. On board now with Mark Feeney in the 73 car. He elects to stay high here. Cuts it down the middle of the corner and back up high out of it. So 1 lap, green flag. Top 3 hasn't changed, but that could definitely cycle out quickly.
Yeah, a lot can go wrong here in just a short amount of time. See those guys give each other plenty of space, but taking that real low, you make it harder on yourself coming out of 2. You see him have to lift the throttle there a little bit. Tanner Long, I should say, as we're on board with Mark Feeney watching this battle, but Jake Jackson still just sticking that high line, which I haven't seen too much of in just the random public races I've done. But Tanner really likes the inside there on the front stretch. I'm not sure why he was staying out of the draft for that long.
Well, we talked about dirty air. Maybe he was trying to set something up. Instead, he's going to dive to the bottom. We've seen this move about 100 times now. Just doesn't seem to stick on that bottom. They seem to get back up in line at the top. So I'm wondering now, Mark Feeney going to make a move. But, I mean, if history repeats itself, Tanner Long should be fine just to push in front of him.
Yeah, and Mark took that position back on the back stretch. Again, Tanner taking that low line. He definitely had to lift a little bit coming back up out of 2. But they're just going back and forth each and every lap here. But we've got a new one up in this battle, and that's James Williamson, who I mentioned has made 4 stops, but he is not out of this race. He is
in contact. Cody Barrett
into the wall.
The tire did stay on. He is slowing progressively. Oh, what a huge wreck! Brock Whiteman
hits him.
Brock Whiteman slams into Cody Barrett. Another caution. Oh, I wonder why he didn't go to the bottom. I mean, he could have gotten out of that racing line. I'm sure Brock Whiteman not too happy about that.
Yeah, if we could get an onboard of Brock Whiteman, that would be awesome. But that car is torn to pieces. He just didn't. The guys on his inside didn't quite leave him enough space, at least not enough for Brock to be comfortable with, but you got to at least try and do something rather than hit that car. He just saw him last second.
Wow, that was we jumped right into it, car right in front of him. Yeah, I'm wondering if from afar he maybe thought, oh, he's going fast, I'll just come up behind him, move inside, and then he just appeared and contact was made. But nonetheless, that's gonna basically kill Brock Whiteman's chances. Now a lap down with only 10 laps to go. Tough look there. He was running up in 3rd, and unfortunately after some incidents, back down to 12th.
Yeah, for his first race in the league, not too bad for the first 50 laps. Unfortunate the way it's going to end his, I guess, competitive attempt tonight. But we've seen some good racing. He made some moves. So did Cody Barrett. It's unfortunate that both of our newcomers are out on the same lap after heavy contact. But again, this league racing is just absolutely awesome. I know myself, once I got into league racing a little bit, I started to enjoy this game a little bit more. Racing against the same guys every week, it just can't be beaten. So if you are looking for some leagues to join, race against some of these guys, get competitive, fight for a championship win, please check out our friends over at gridfinder.com. That's grid-finder.com. They're the internet's only league search tool, and Apollo Racing Club is actually an approved Grid Finder league. So you'll find us and over 1,000 other leagues featured on their site. Again, if you head over to grid-finder.com, you can actually organize those leagues by platform, whether you're on Xbox, PlayStation, PC. Also, other filters such as your simulator, of course, what program you're playing on, what service, car class, region, and even day of the week. So you can find something that exactly suits your schedule and go get after it on track.
Yeah, I have to say I use Grid Finder. Just got a new next gen league. We're starting up at Daytona in a few weeks, so definitely a good service. Helped me find the ones I wanted and avoid the ones I didn't. So,
well, that's awesome. Best of luck with that, man. Be excited to hear about that one.
It's gonna be insane, but yeah, it should be fun. Well, we will get back green flag racing at lap 52. Pace light's gonna go off after this one. And Jake Jackson, we've been saying his name all night, still up in the lead. It's just what can Tanner Long do, and when can Mark Feeney pull the trigger and make that huge move to maybe get above these other two drivers?
And you know he's going to, with only 8 laps to go. We should be going green. Yeah, pace car lights are out. We'll be going green with 7 to go. 8 to... I can't math right now.
8 to go,
again,
yep.
Recovering from my concussion. Yeah. Hopefully those 8 laps are green, though. See some good moves there at the end. Would hate to finish under caution here, especially with the way these guys have been racing up front all night. They've been making good moves, but staying clean with each other for the most part. We got a lot of people still on that lead lap that can make something happen, though. With the toe being so big, do not count out Tyler Reed and Andrew Serwick, especially if something happens up front. Any sort of contact, they'll instantly grab those spots.
Yeah, and we talked about Eric Oliva staying out. That was the right move because he is still in a definite position to make something happen with 8 laps to go. Well, hopefully the last caution laps we'll see tonight here from Michigan. Jake Jackson going to lead him back to the green flag.
Hoping to get that big jump again on the rest of the field. They bunch up pretty tightly. Tanner Long looking to give plenty of space, though. Jake Jackson is about to mash it here as we go green. Not as big of a jump this time.
Yeah, he's already sucking up to the back of him. He's going to look to dive low, which he does. It's just whether he can make that move. Mark Feeney right behind Jake Jackson. Probably going to give him a run off the top unless he blocks, which he seems to do. Tanner Long takes the lead, but what can Jake Jackson do? Now 7 laps to go.
Yeah, Mark Feeney running up right behind him, but Jake Jackson heads to the outside. This is going to give Mark Feeney another tow and bring him up into this battle with these 2 lead cars. Jake Jackson not giving up the fight just yet. He says, that's my lead. I want it back. Tanner Long risky down to the apron on the front stretch. We've already seen a couple people fall to that trap tonight, but he manages to keep it intact. He goes low down again. And we have a caution. Tanner Long, the leader, he collects Eric Oliva in the 13 car. Ah, man, that's unfortunate.
Eric Oliva, we just highlighted how he could make a run, but it is all over. Oh, no. He's trying to get it going, but I think the engine shot after that one. A tough hit for both Eric Oliva and Tanner Long. Wow. So the leader is wiped out on his own accord. Got to the bottom. Looks like he turned just a little too far left. Went spinning. He locked the brakes, tried to get it back going, but Oliva full speed into the back of him. Dangerous.
Yeah, there's not much Eric Oliva could have done there, I don't think. Yeah, he just gets loose, man. Just mashes the throttle a little too early. When you come up from that apron, get right back on the banking and try and mash it. It's pretty tough to do so. Hopefully, could we get an on board of that 13 car of Eric Oliva? See kind of what he saw from his point of view, if he even saw that coming at all, or if he was just totally blindsided.
Yeah, we talked about tunnel vision. It's tough to... You know, he has someone inside of him. He's focusing on that, not looking at this. He seems to let off brakes, but just a little too late.
Yeah,
And
he
I
was
think
just in
he
a
may
bad
have,
spot with that car inside.
yeah, he may have felt the diving down at that point would have spun him out too, and maybe he could have made something happen, but instead, huge crash, and now single digits on the lead lap, only the top 6.
Again, Jake Jackson going to be leading this field. Like I said, he's thinking that's my lead. I want it back. And rightfully so. He's sitting P1, but Mark Feeney still on the prowl. He's been climbing all night long.
Yeah, Feeney, that was an easy pass for him, right? Just avoid the spinner.
Right.
And I'm in second. So that's how most of these guys have gotten up to where they are, but it's going to come down to these last few laps. It might restart with 3 to go, possibly 4. So definitely going to be an interesting battle here. Mark Feeney, though, in a great position to get some slipstream and do something on that front straightaway when the white flag is out.
Jake is going to have to get a huge jump here, or else Mark's just going to do exactly what Tanner did on the last restart and just cut his inside on 1.
Yeah, and that was such a crazy wreck. We saw him spinning out and then Oliva just full speed into him. So very unfortunate for both those drivers, but these leaders just happy to avoid that one for sure.
Yeah, that 13 car has had a rough night. He's still somehow on that lead lap. So if he wins the lottery, he could still fight for a podium position here. It's going to be tough, though. And I know Andrew Serwick is not going to be happy with P4 here at his home track. So he will be making moves shortly. James Williamson is going to have to defend pretty hard.
Well, Williamson coming off an Indy 500 win, went to Laguna Seca, not anything too impressive to talk about, but he likes to shine on ovals, and he has battled through these 56 laps. You talked about how he is in Ireland, I believe. He is in England, excuse me. I saw the Irish flag, and so it is very late. I believe it's 3 or 4 in the morning, so he's been up late, and it's all going to come together, hopefully, for him sitting in P3 right now.
Yeah, you got to respect the hustle, man. He's hoping something works out in his favor for once. So, like I said earlier on in this race, he's a competitor. He just hasn't had everything fall in his favor yet. Even though tonight hasn't been perfect for him, at least he still gets a shot at this one. It's one of the greatest all-time liveries too. I mean, I don't think many people can disagree on that. That car is sweet.
Well, another sweet car was Tanner Long, but he is out of the race. Last car out, so 11th through 8th is going to be 1 lap down, and then 1st through 7th on the lead lap, looking to make an impression here as we are going green this time by. Going to be 4 laps to go when we restart.
And 4 laps to go, and Tyler Reed, the only car sitting in the same position he started in. So he's been pretty quiet tonight. I think he stayed out of trouble for the most part. Everyone else has gotten jumbled up quite a bit.
So pace car lights off. Jake Jackson going to lead him back to the start-finish line. It's how big is that jump, and what can Mark Feeney do behind him? Going to try and make a move on back straightaway. Jake Jackson gets away well, but Feeney right behind him into turn number 1.
Feeney getting a huge toe as you see him just massively close down that gap. He's going to dive to the inside already on Jake Jackson. Jake Jackson takes it around the outside. Feeney gets a little lower than he'd like, snags the white line a little bit. That's going to allow Williamson to get a run on him with MLG God Andrew Serwick close behind. James Williamson looks to the inside. Andrew Serwick right on his attenuator. They're getting real dicey up here.
And now Williamson going to get a huge run on Jake Jackson, who was sitting out to dry like a duck. And instead, Williamson going to get behind that slipstream and make Jake Jackson a little worried as we're 2 laps to go now.
Oh, man. Andrew Serwick is battling so hard to try and just get up there.
Oh,
James Williamson out of turn 2 into the wall. And we are going to finish this one under caution, but it's not thrown yet. It's not thrown yet. Unlike earlier, we're staying green because he's down there so far inside.
Yeah, off the racing line. If they get to the white flag, we are going to finish this race, and they do. And now, Andrew Serwick to the inside. MLG God, trying to look like a Major League gamer, going to stick it on the bottom. He's going to possibly wash up. Instead, he can keep it down. And Jake Jackson right behind him, going to have to make a move on the back straightaway if he wants to win this race.
Andrew Serwick doing his best he can to break the draft off of Jake Jackson, but Jackson looks towards the outside, headed into the final 2 corners of this 60-lap race. Andrew gets as far away as possible from him. We're going to have a drag race to the finish. Jake Jackson gets a little bit of a pull from Andrew Serwick. Serwick down to the apron. Jake Jackson right alongside. Serwick takes it here at Michigan International Speedway. Serwick with the win at his home track with the comeback. What a finish.
And Jake Jackson only .027 behind him. What a finish. That slip seemed so strong, but that high line was stronger. So great job by Andrew Serwick to get in front there. Jake Jackson upset about that. He was running in first that whole race, it felt like, but instead the second place can get it done. Andrew Serwick takes the W here.
What a win from Andrew Serwick. Like I said, his home track, he had been telling me for weeks, if he could win one race, this is the one he wanted to win. So I know when we get him in the booth with us, he's going to be totally elated. Jake Jackson, again, like you said, totally commanded this race, and Mark Feeney just followed close behind the whole time, hoping for something to happen in front of him. Just didn't get lucky there. But, wow, what a finish. And I can't believe the caution was thrown on a similar incident earlier on in this race, and it wasn't thrown there. But thankfully it wasn't. We love green flag finishes, and we got one.
Well, a fantastic job. You saw him stick to the bottom. He went almost below the yellow line, and it was just whether that would stick. And then he went to the apron. But at this point, you just had to make the aggressive move there. So pretty wild end to that one. But regardless, a great win for Andrew Serwick.
Yeah. And you saw him go down to the apron there on the front stretch. That's what you got to do on the final lap just to pick up a little bit of speed in the drag race. Now he's going to celebrate with some right turns. We will have Mark Feeney in here shortly, and I believe he is here. Mark, how you doing tonight? How'd you feel about that race?
Oh, very good, very good. It's good to get back onto the podium again. Had a podium at my debut, and then have been kind of struggling ever since, so that feels real good to get that back off my chest.
Yeah, I bet. It's good to see you on the podium again as well. Congrats on that third place finish. We know you were kind of camping out behind the leaders there for quite a huge portion of this race. Were you just hoping something would go wrong for them up there and you could pounce on it, or were you just kind of sitting back and hoping to make a move at the end and it didn't quite work out?
Yeah, I wanted to kind of hang back for a little bit and just let the race kind of come to me. That's more of my style, is kind of allow, the crap to happen in front of me and just kind of pounce on it from there, be more of a vulture. But once I saw MLG, Andrew, right behind me, I knew at that point I needed to start pushing. So went for a move down low on Jake early, which I should have just kind of stuck back for the next 2 laps, and that allowed James and Andrew to come up on me, and then I kind of just lost the momentum, sank into third, and just made sure I could hold on to the draft from there.
Yeah, and we didn't get to see too much of your finish in third. Were you having to defend very hard there, or did you kind of just smooth sail at home?
Smooth sailing home. Just wanted to really hold on to their draft, so that way Adam didn't catch up to me back behind. I think he was only about a second back.
Well, great race. Congrats on third, another podium, and we hope to see you out next week in that same position.
Hey, thank you very much, guys.
All right. Well, that was Mark Feeney in third place. We're going to get to talk to Jake Jackson. Now, Jake Jackson finishing .02 seconds behind the leader. Do we bring that up? That's the question.
I mean, I think so. Congrats on that second place finish, Jake. I know it might not be exactly what you wanted tonight, but kind of tell us what was running through your head there on those final couple laps.
Yeah, I mean, starting 11th, I did not expect to be in first even for a little bit like I was, but I knew that after the safety car with like 5 laps to go that someone was going to catch me. It was just a matter of when, and I did have a good run on Andrew towards the coming out of turn 4, but it wasn't enough to catch him. But second place is good for me. Not really good at ovals, so better than I expected, of course.
Well, that's awesome. Like you said, especially starting from so far back in the field, that's got to feel good.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was going to say you stuck to that high line. It had been working all day, but he made a very aggressive move. He went all the way onto the apron to try and get in front of you, and it stuck. But great race, finishing second. Very close one at the end.
Yeah, thank you.
So that was Jake Jackson in second place. And then we talked to the winner, Andrew Serwick. We got to ask him about that last second move to get to the bottom. Pretty wild. And he is here with us. So, Andrew, congrats on the win, first of all.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, congrats. That was awesome. That was super awesome to call. Very, very fun to watch. And I had mentioned on the broadcast, I know you told me if there's one race you got to win, it's at Michigan, your home track, if I'm correct, unless I've been an idiot all night long. But you made quite the comeback there. Can you walk us through a little bit what happened throughout that middle leg of the race around that pit sequence? How did you make it back up into the fight at the front?
Well, yeah, it is my home track, and yeah, definitely one of the tracks come so close so many times, but never quite got it done. And but yeah, so I pitted. The first time I pitted, and then we restarted, and had to make a reaction to Pop Dog, who was underneath me, or Jake, and it just sent me into the wall at turn 4, and I kept going until we got a yellow flag, and pitted, and then just tried to keep it as flat as much as I could in that final leg there, and the last couple restarts really did help me get up to the front there, and yeah, just overall a really good race. Had to push really hard, and yeah, it was awesome.
So we saw another driver earlier, I believe, I can't recall, but someone else went to the apron and they caught the grass. Were you worried on that last second trying to get past? It was the last lap, last corner. Were you worried about being on that apron? You hadn't been there all night, but did you think it was just worth the risk to try and get that extra speed?
Yeah, it was. I was just trying everything I possibly could to just find clean air, find grip, and yeah, it ended up working out for me pretty well. Well, at least a little bit it did. There were some times where I just ended up sliding up towards the turn 2 wall and had to lift out of it. But otherwise, I was just trying to find grip out there. It was so tough. The tire wear was pretty high, and the grip was just not there. So it was real tough out there, but got it home.
Well,
Yeah.
It was an awesome way to get it home for sure. As you see on the broadcast, there's Gatorade Victory Lane. Why don't you go ahead and take that Gatorade car down there, get some pictures, celebrate that win, and hoping to see you up front again next week. But again, congrats on that huge victory.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys.
So Andrew Serwick coming home in first place, then Jake Jackson second, Mark Feeney rounding out the podium. Great race from everyone. Jake Jackson 0.02 seconds behind, a photo finish for the ages here at Michigan.
And Adam Thompson bringing it home in P4, followed by Tyler Reed, P5, Eric Oliva in 6th, 7, 8, and 9 is Cody Barrett, Craig Bray, John Krauser, and James Williamson, unfortunately ending up in that 10th spot after that late race incident that a yellow was not thrown for, but he made quite the comeback with the number of stops he made. And then 11 through 15, we had Daniel Taskey, Tanner Long, Brock Whiteman, Kubile Ceylan. I don't know how to say it, but I'm glad I did not try and say it all night long because we're going to have to get some clarity on that name. And Joseph Dupont, unfortunately, finishing in the final position, P15. But even though we had a smaller field tonight, that was a heck of a race. Saw a ton of lead changes and close battles.
Yeah, definitely an amazing race, amazing finish. Just the back and forth throughout, like you said. Well, thank you for joining us here on the Apollo Racing Club IndyCar Series on Thursday nights. We'll be back with Week 9 next week at 9 p.m.
And that week, we will be headed to Watkins Glen. So we're back on the road courses. Hopefully, David McCourt gets his hardware issues solved, and we can see him running up front again. He's always competitive, but we're looking forward to it. Like Nick said, same time next week. See you then.